Okay, you're live.
Good evening. We'd like to welcome everyone to the Moore Park Unified School District regular meeting of Thursday, January 7th, 2020. Areli, can you do the roll call?
Yes. Amy Adams?
Here.
Scott Dettori?
Here.
Robert Perez?
Here.
Nathan Sweet?
Here.
Ute Van Dam?
Present.
And the meeting was called to order at 5:33. We had no public comment in closed session. We discussed conference with labor negotiator, public employee evaluation, and we are now, of course, reconvening into open session. Time for the Pledge of Allegiance. So if everyone can stand and place your right hand over your heart, our flag is right here. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Moving on to item 6, reordering and approval of the agenda. Any reorder?
President, I'd like to move that we accept the agenda as proposed.
Okay, we have a motion by Scott Dettori.
Second.
Second by Nathan Sweet. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0. Agenda item 7, approval of minutes. It is recommended that the board approve the minutes of the December 15, 2020 regular meeting. Do we have a motion?
I move to approve
Take
the
it.
minutes.
Okay, we have a motion by Ute Van Dam. Do we have a second?
I second that.
Second by Amy Adams. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0. Item 8, public comment. In accordance with Governor Newsom's executive order N25-20 regarding COVID-19 virus and the notice of the meeting teleconference posted on January 5th, 2021, members of the public may submit their comments electronically to the board secretary at ahernandez@moorepark.org prior to 4 p.m. on the day of the meeting, January 7th, 2021. Comments will be limited to 3 minutes. The board shall limit the total time for the public input on each item to 20 minutes. With board consent, the board president may increase or decrease the allowed time due to the electronic nature of this meeting and to maintain the integrity of providing an opportunity for public comment. Every effort will be made to read your comment into the record. Dr. Hayes, are you going to read those?
Yes, I am. We have 5 public comments, and I'll read them in the order received. The first comment is from Ray Hebel. My name is Ray Hebel, and I have taught in the Moore Park Unified School District for more than 30 years. I am grateful that the school board made the decision to switch to distance learning upon our return for the second semester, but urge you to consider extending this distance learning period at least through the end of January, and to then reevaluate your decision at that time. Most news reports have stated that the last 2 weeks of January will be some of the darkest days in the history of our country, particularly because many of the people who traveled and gathered for the holiday season will test positive for COVID during that time period. Ventura County is next to LA County, where 1 in 20 people are infected and hospitals are turning people away. I fear that this will soon happen in Ventura County as well, especially with the latest strain of the virus that is even more contagious. In-person learning at Moore Park High School, if started back up too soon, will just be another opportunity for the virus to spread. Also, even though we believe that people are taking the appropriate precautions to avoid infection, as it's the right thing to do, not everyone has the same views regarding the danger of the virus and may not be following the recommended protocols, which ultimately puts others in danger. Please, I urge you to make the health and safety of Moore Park students, teachers, staff, and administrators a priority. Thank you. Okay, the next one is from Laura Sett. My name is Laura Sett, and I am a special education teacher at Mesa Verde. I would like to express my concerns for myself and other middle school special education teachers. I have heard concerns that from my team at Mesa, as well as from teachers at Chaparral. Our workload has increased this year, and in addition to that, the demands of blended teaching has completely overwhelmed us. We are working well beyond our contracted hours. We are being asked to hold our IEPs during our prep period. We are expected to assess students on our caseloads during our prep as well. Only one of us has an extra prep to complete initial assessments and students who transfer to our school. The district hired a part-time assessor to help us get caught up with overdue triennials. This was so helpful and really alleviated much stress and anxiety. Unfortunately, her part-time contract ended when we went on winter break. However, even with one of us having the extra prep, the work is too much. General education teachers are able to use their prep to lesson plan, grade papers, and prepare for their other classes. We are unable to efficiently prepare meaningful lessons and provide feedback to our students in a timely manner. Instead, our preps are being used to write IEPs, hold IEPs, manage our caseloads, and contact parents, other service providers for our students. Although we work tirelessly and after our hours, we still find ourselves constantly falling behind in our work with tasks piling up. I would like to ask if all special ed middle school teachers could be granted a second prep period. I would also like to ask if the part-time assessor could be permanent and shared between the two schools. This would result in better student engagement and higher parent satisfaction. It would allow us to be more present during the classes we teach and give us time to build rapport with our students. I appreciate your time and attention to this matter. Okay, the third one is from Kirsten Falsey, who is a parent of 3 students at Walnut Canyon. Happy New Year, Dr. Hayes. Thank you to the staff and teachers for a great start to the semester and with virtual learning. I know that the plan is to resume blended learning on Tuesday, January 19th. Have you or the board considered waiting until the county COVID numbers start to decline before resuming in-person learning? When the decision to go virtual for these 2 weeks was voted on at your last meeting, cases of COVID were slowly starting to rise in Ventura County. Now, over these last 3 weeks, the spread of the virus has been increasing significantly every day, and there is a prediction that the numbers will be elevated through much of the month of January. I'm asking you and the board to consider delaying return to blended learning until further notice, or to look at the guidelines the county set out before the waiver was granted. While our children's time has been safely spent in person at Walnut Canyon during the last semester, and we thank you for the organized effort, there is still a large risk of acquired community infection outside of schools that puts teachers and staff at risk. What happens outside of our safe school communities, that is out of your control as well as the teachers, will ultimately have a direct impact on our schools. Thank you for taking this into consideration. And number 4 is from Janine Alexander. Please help MUSD teachers. I emailed you all December 23rd while waiting for my COVID results because I was exposed at Moore Park High School. Only one of you responded. I was very disappointed, to say the least. So I am going to give you another chance because I am a teacher and that's what we do. While I know you cannot guarantee me not being exposed to this deadly disease, I feel you can do something that will somewhat guarantee all of our safety. Since we are the first school district in Ventura County to be meeting face-to-face with students at all grade levels and scheduled once again to return to work, we should be the first teachers and staff to get the vaccine, and it should be provided by the district. So I ask, what are you doing to make this happen, to make sure this happens? I volunteer to be the first to get it. Our district will be a positive example for the county, state, and the country. It will show how much you really care about the people who have dedicated their lives to public education. I think we can all appreciate that. Thank you for your time. And the 5th one and final is from Julie Reed. My name is Julie Reed, and I am a special education teacher at Mesa Verde. First of all, I would like to thank the board for making the decision to have distance learning for these 2 weeks. I feel that there should still be discussion on whether we should resume with a blended model or continue with distance learning after the 15th of the month. Although there seems to be light at the end of the tunnel in the form of a vaccine, I feel it will take much longer than anticipated for us all to be vaccinated, especially since there are 2 shots to get. It seems that when thinking of students, staff, families, and the community at large, distance learning should be highly considered. Furthermore, with more and more people becoming infected, we lack the personnel and teachers needed to fill in for the people who are infected, required to quarantine, etc. There just aren't enough people. This is not in anyone's best interest. Students need a return to normalcy. This does not include standing 6 feet apart while waiting to go into a class or having to disinfect their desk after every time they sit, or not being able to truly engage with one another. This normalcy can, however, be found in distance learning. Teachers have worked tirelessly to make the virtual classroom a safe and inviting place for students to come and learn, a place where everyone can feel safe, not to mention a space where you can have discussions with one another while being able to see facial expressions. I urge the board to open up the discussion once again for the safety and sanity of students and teachers. Thank you for your time. And that is all of our public comments this evening.
Thank you. Thank you to the speakers. Moving on to item 9, report from our superintendent. Dr. Hayes, you're back on.
Okay, thank you. I have 2 items I just wanted to provide an update for. The first regards technology. During these 2 weeks of distance learning, we have hired and backfilled 3 vacant positions in the technology department, and we have started rolling out a complete network classroom technology upgrade. The networking switches, fiber cabling, access points, projectors, and document cameras are getting a much needed upgrade. Once finished, the network will be 10 times faster and capable of supporting one-to-one classroom instruction more effectively. So I wanted to provide that update. Secondly, I wanted to provide a little bit of information about the dashboard to clear up some questions, our MUSD COVID dashboard. The purpose of the dashboard is to track all active, confirmed, positive cases of COVID-19 at our school sites and to monitor the percentage of such. If the total number of active cases reaches 5% at a given school, that school would need to go to distance learning until given clearance to reopen by Ventura County Public Health Office. The dashboard does not track students or any staff members who are on 100% distance learning because it is only pertinent for those persons on campus, for the active cases on campus. So because of that, so to date, the dashboard has been cleared of active cases for all students because all of our students are on distance learning. So we have no active cases currently of students on our dashboard. We are, however, reflecting active cases for staff because we have staff members who worked over break. And we also have staff members who are currently working at our school sites. So those are being continued to be updated and on the dashboard. And just as a note, once an active case is over, in other words, once that employee is cleared, they either come back to work or they're able to come back to work and they're deemed it's been 14 or 10 days after the date of their positive test, then they are removed and then we move them to the previous cases no longer active column. So we are maintaining a running count, if you will, of all of our active cases just for historical purposes. But I did want to provide clarification as to why we currently have 0 students reported as active. Once we return to school on January 19th in person, at that point, then we will start tracking active cases of students along with our staff members. And that's my update.
Thank you. Moving on.
Dr. Hayes, if someone ended up contracting COVID over the break and they isolated for their 10 days or 14 days and they are now asymptomatic and we're no longer isolating at home and whatever, they are not going to be reflected in the dashboard at all, right?
Correct. Those who would have been reflected initially would have been those who would have been contagious. So if they would have had a positive case maybe a day or 2 after the break started, and they were on campus for a day that they could have been potentially contagious, that would have been considered an active case. But they have since fallen off that, because they're no longer active. So they would now be on the historically active. Anyone else who may have contracted the virus over the break and they weren't contagious for any days on school, they never would have been reflected on the dashboard. That's correct. Unless they were working at school, unless they were an employee who was working on campus.
In this dashboard, was this one of the requirements that Ventura County Public Health needed in order for us to, tracking in order to return to our blended learning? Or was it just
No.
something that we did on our own?
We did it on our own. And however, it's something that the state under Governor Newsom's new order, I believe would be requiring schools to do this now, or school districts under the new reopening plan. But we went ahead and did this just for transparency and to inform, keep our community informed.
Great, thank you.
Dr. Hayes, I have a quick question because I know this question has come up. Do we know, or have there been any confirmed or known exposures that have occurred on our campus, any of our schools? Has anyone, been in contact with someone and then, got COVID and we've had to shut classrooms down, or where are we at?
Yes. Okay. So we had we did not have any transmissions until the very till the end, almost near break. And although it's hard to know exactly for certain, but we believe we had one or two transmissions
From students?
Yeah. Well, yes. And one case, I believe, a student and teacher interaction.
Any other questions? All right. Moving on to item 10, report from district board members. Let's see who's first on my screen. Ethan.
Not much to report. Just really more of a statement, and that is that this is something we discussed when we decided to take that 2-week pause during our last meeting for after the break. We knew that the cases, or we anticipated that the cases were going to continue to climb. It has done that, and that's why we did the quarantine, or the 2-week pause in blended learning and a return to distance learning, and that was so that people that that decided to travel or get together with non-family members or non-household members that they would essentially quarantine, hopefully, and we would be able to determine whether or not they were infected. They would go through their 10 or 14 days of symptoms, and then hopefully return to school after the Martin Luther King weekend. So the cases may continue to rise, but we just didn't want to have people that didn't really know, or that it had not quarantined and had gotten together to quarantine at home and then return to school after that. The safety measures that are in place have been okayed by Ventura County Public Health, and sanctioned by Ventura County Public Health and the State Department of Health. And so far, the possibility of 1 or 2 transmissions, any transmissions are too many, but that's certainly extremely low. And we are certainly taking the safety and health of our students and teachers and administrators very seriously. So that's it. And then the new schedule, the feedback that I'm getting from my own kids and other parents is that the new schedule people are enjoying it very well. I'm sure we have people that it may be inconveniencing, but the feedback that I've gotten so far is that the new schedule is working out well. So thank you.
Thank you. Mr. DeTore.
My mic is on. Very little. Like Mr. Sweet, I did receive some positive feedback from constituents during the holidays, constituents, parents, and some staff, faculty that I occasioned to run into while doing holiday shopping. So that's always pleasant to hear. And I did receive some congratulatory letters from some of our state and county level legislators on my re-election. And that's it. Other than that, I hope everyone had a very good holiday, as best as they could.
Thank you. Mrs. Van Dam.
I just wanted to wish everyone a happy new year, and I wanted to thank teachers and staff and Dr. Hayes and your team for all the hard work you've done. Everybody's worked tirelessly to try to bring some normalcy back to education. So thank you.
Great, thank you. Mrs. Adams.
Well, I just wanted to say thank you for all the help you guys have given me as I make the transition, onboarding. The district has done a fabulous job of making sure I'm all set up and the training provided. So thank you to my fellow board members for welcoming me, and to Superintendent Dr. Hayes, and to all the staff, and also a big thank you to all of our teachers and staff that have worked tirelessly and are so flexible with all of the changes and have really provided such a wonderful educational experience even during this really difficult year. So just a big thank you today.
Great, thank you. And I too want to echo, thank our board for, of course, extending the 2 weeks. The kids, it seems like it went by fast, but I do also like the new schedule. My kids are excited with it, so I'm thankful for that. I did also have a conversation with Mayor Parvin yesterday with respect to vaccines. She's been in contact with Assemblywoman Jackie Irwin, so she was just asking for some feedback, and I was able to discuss with her to see if we can possibly get those here in Moorpark. So hopefully that will happen soon. But I do want to thank Dr. Hayes. I want to thank our entire cabinet and of course our teachers for just jumping back in. The kids are, as I mentioned, excited to be back. Well, I think they are. So we will move on. Board items for action discussion. If we have any. Item 12, consent action. Items proposed for the consent calendar are noted on the posted agenda and are considered by the superintendent to be of a routine nature. Any item may be removed from the consent calendar at the request of any board member and placed under the appropriate action category. A roll call vote will be taken for the consent calendar so that any items requiring a roll call vote can be properly addressed. It is recommended that all consent items be approved. And I will entertain a motion.
I move
Make a
to
motion that we, go ahead.
We have a motion by Nathan Sweet and a second by Ute Van Dam.
second.
Any discussion? All right, Areli, roll call.
Yes. Amy Adams,
Yes.
okay. Scott DeTore,
Aye.
Robert Perez,
Aye.
Nathan Sweet,
Aye.
Ute Van Dam.
Aye.
Right. Moving on to instruction 16. In accordance with Education Code Section 35186, school districts must provide quarterly reports to disclose any Williams uniform complaints filed for the period of October 2020 through December 2020. Attached is the Moorpark Unified School District's January 2021 quarterly report on the Williams uniform complaints, indicating that no complaints were filed with any school in the district during this quarter. This information is for public reporting purposes and no board action is required. Moving on to item 17, business. In accordance with Government Code Section 66001 and 66006, the district must make available to the public the collected and expended developer fees. The reference report of collected and extended developer fees for 2019-2020 fiscal year is for public reporting purposes and no board action is required. Moving on to item 18. The district owns surplus real property located at 5297 Marine Lane in Moorpark, California, 93021 property. Pursuant to the procedures set forth in the Education Code sections 17455, the district previously adopted the resolution of intent declaring the intention to lease the property, 2, posted public notices during the required notice period, and 3, accepted sealed written bids and oral bids at the subsequent public hearing. At the hearing, the board accepted Alchemy Foods' bid as the highest and only qualifying bid and directed district staff to negotiate a lease agreement with Alchemy Foods. During negotiations, Alchemy Foods determined that Me Gusta Gourmet Foods, Me Gusta, a different company that is affiliated with Alchemy Foods, would be doing the actual work related to storing, packaging, and district certain kosher meal kits. As such, the parties requested that the district lease the property to Me Gusta rather than Alchemy Foods on the same terms and conditions set forth in Alchemy Foods' bid. With the assistance of its broker and legal counsel, district staff confirmed that Me Gusta intends to perform the food storage, packaging, and distribution work at the district's property. And the district now desires to lease the property to Me Gusta on the same terms and conditions set forth in Alchemy Foods' bid, and as further set forth in the lease agreement presented with this resolution. Pursuant to those terms, the district would be leasing the property to Me Gusta to conduct its meal kit work at the price of $10,145 per month, subject to annual increases, for the initial term of 5 years and 3 months. The resolution approves the lease of the property pursuant to the lease agreement and authorizes staff to move forward in its execution. It is recommended that the Board of Education adopt resolution number 2020-2021-08, authorizing staff to proceed with the lease of the property, warehouse space, and making related findings. Dr. Hayes.
Yes, thank you. Well, this is that is a very good summary of the actions that have led us here tonight. Tonight, the board will decide to approve the actual lease. And just to review some key points, this company would not be doing any actual cooking on site. They would be organizing prepared food into portable meal kits, portable kosher meal kits. So that's one thing. They have requested, and it's reflected in the lease, to make some improvements to the warehouse, and that would be to actually improve the HVAC system, and also to bring in some large food storage freezers. That's really the main. Those are the main areas of the improvements. And those, they would put down a deposit of the $10,145. That would then allow them, once we receive their insurance confirmation, to start occupying the warehouse to make those improvements, and then they would resume making monthly payments in May. So the term, however, official term would run, if approved tonight, from February 1st of 2021 to April 30th, 2026, for a total of 5 years. And there is an option, and 3 months, actually it's 5 years and 3 months. And there would be an option to extend the lease for an additional 5 years if desired. And there's also opt-outs if both parties wanted to do that as well. We have worked very closely with legal counsel, and we feel that it is in the district's best interest to move forward with this lease execution, and to and show our public that we are using surplus property to increase our revenue, and using their taxpayer money wisely and prudently.
Great.
I just have a comment. I want to thank Dr. Hayes and staff for thinking outside the box for creative ways to get revenue. And this is an excellent example. We're to get over $120,000 a year, and over the 5-year lease, it'll be over $600,000 of added revenue. So thank you very much.
Any other questions?
Yes, for Dr. Hayes, the subject to annual increases, is there a formula? What is the situation with that? Are they mandated? Is it based on market value? What are some?
No, it's built in. It's a percentage. It's built into the lease, and it's ongoing. And so every year.
And automatic?
Yes.
Okay.
There's no further negotiation needed for that.
Very good. Thank you.
Thank you. And just one question: if they're moving in, actually 3 weeks before their official lease starts, but if they burn the place down or somebody gets hurt there, their insurance will cover that, I assume?
Correct. We will receive all of the confirmations of their insurance before they occupy and set foot onto the lease. It's all built in.
Great, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. And to echo Ute's comments, in declining enrollment, and we're constantly cutting and downsizing and right sizing our staff and services and all that. So this is great to be able to generate revenue to supplement the budget. So thank you very much for that.
And with that, I will entertain a motion.
I move to approve resolution 2020-2021-08.
We have a motion by Ute Van Dam,
I'll second that motion.
second by Scott DeTore. Any further discussion? Okay, great job, Dr. Hayes. I think we set this in motion, what, a year, 2 years ago? So
We began discussions, yes, about a year and a half ago, I believe.
great. Well, thank you. And all those in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Okay. Moving on to item 19. It is
So
rec-
just,
oh.
Mr. President, just for clarification purpose, just so is that a 5-0?
Oh, yes, sorry, 5-0. Did everybody vote? I'm sorry. All those in favor? Aye.
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 Okay, I heard Amy. Oppose? Okay, motion carries 5-0. Thank you. Thanks, Dr. Hayes, for
Oh,
clarifying.
sure.
Okay, moving on to item 19. It is recommended that the board approve the reference memorandum of understanding between the Ventura County Office of Education and the Moore Park Unified School District, confirming the district's participation of the Mental Health Services Oversight and Accountability Commission Wellness Center grant. The agreement term is December 30th, 2020 to December 30th, 2024. Dr. Hayes.
Thank you. I'm excited to present this to the board for consideration and possible approval. The VCOE brought this to superintendents last fall about the possibility of participating in a grant to provide an at-risk youth center on our high school campuses. In Moore Park, we have one comprehensive high school. That would be one, so for one of our campuses. And Moore Park Unified, I thought it would be, I talked with our staff and our high school principal, and we thought this would be a great addition to offer some social emotional support services for our students. And so this 4-year grant, what it would do, it would utilize 2 classrooms at Moore Park High School, and Ms. Pentis has identified 2 rooms in the I building that are adjacent to one another. And it would be a wellness center for at-risk high school youth. Any high school student could utilize it, but some ideas and some focus would be for students to receive, health, mental health, other support services. It would include information about suicide prevention, dropout prevention, outreach to foster youth, youth who identify as LGBTQ plus, and youth who have been suspended, youth who have been expelled and or a threat of being expelled, and in general, students who need just social emotional support, someone to talk to, other resources. And the grant includes, there would be no cost at all to the district. The grant pays for the hiring of a part-time wellness coordinator. There are several other districts in Ventura County that are going to engage and participate with this grant. So we would have the option of working with another district and hiring a full-time person if we wanted, and they would split time with us in the other district. That may attract an MFT or a social worker or someone of that nature. We could hire. Really, the requirements are listed in the grant, but we can also just have the person only work for MUSD 0.5. And then there would also be a behavioral health, a Ventura County behavioral health professional clinician working at the site as well. This person would be one person full-time designated by VCBH and would work at all the sites that have the grant. And but they would have physical time spent at each of the sites to be the liaison between school services and VCBH to ensure that there's communication, that students and families are getting the resources they need and assistance they need for any matters or issues that pertain to social emotional welfare and health. And the other benefit of this grant is that if there's money to train wellness peers, and that would be high school juniors or seniors who may be thinking about an opportunity in the field, the mental health field, and they would be trained. They would have summer trainings, conferences, ongoing trainings, and they would be in a class. It would be, so they would receive high school credit, but it would be like a CTE type of an experience for them, working directly with professionals, and they would also help lead other groups at the high school campus, just some inclusive groups and support groups, that type of thing. They would help with advertising. The grant includes money for technology. The room would be outfitted with a comforting, with furniture that's comfortable for students. Obviously, when COVID is, over. In the meantime, it would start out more as virtual, supporting the support services, but it would have technology in the room for students. So, looking at it, it's hard for me to find any negative, arguments for this. I feel like this would be a very strong benefit for our students and families at Moore Park High School. So I would recommend approval of this, of this MOU, which would then engage MUSD and VSUE in a grant partnership.
And all we have to do is provide the space.
Correct.
Great. Okay, any
Well,
questions?
Yeah, I have a comment. With the need for like social and emotional support for our students, which is now more than ever, I'm really excited that this is going to be on our campus and serving our students. So thank you for getting this grant. Appreciate it.
Yeah, I'm very excited about this. Of course, this is right up my alley here, so I'm super excited to support this because I think this is a win-win for our students and our district, and I'd love to see it expanded bigger. But I love the fact that we can do this. I did have a question on the under the cost. I know it's funded by a grant, but it says that the wellness peers, there's like a $10,000 set up for the wellness peers. Is that for training for them? Because under the actual training, summer training, there's $0 on that, and the winter there's like $1,500. But is that a training cost? Because I'm assuming the wellness peers, it's a volunteer thing. Is that correct?
Yeah, so it's a great question. So actually, initially, the $10,000 was to actually provide payment to the students.
Okay.
And the superintendents expressed concern about paying our own students to,
Yeah.
And so what they agreed to do was to take that $10,000 and allocate it to the other areas of the MOU when needed. Like, in other words, so that will go to maybe increased training, maybe more supplies, that type of thing. So great question, but we all determined that the students would not be paid. It would
Okay,
be,
that's what I thought. But then I
Yes.
saw that and I wondered, so the
Yes.
students are volunteers then?
That's right. They would sign
Okay.
up. We would go and let them know about it, and they would sign up. And they would actually be interviewed. I mean, the wellness coordinator would select them, so they will get
Great.
experience in interviewing and why do they want to be involved. We would look at we were thinking about having them get a teacher recommendation, almost like a job interview type of thing.
Okay,
And the students get credit, right, for the class?
Correct. They would get credit for the class. It would be like as if they were an academic mentor or TA, so they would get 5 credits for the semester.
so they would change every semester. They would each semester will have 10 new wellness peers.
Yes, possibly. We talked about that, and we thought at least we talked about possibly doing a year, having somebody do it for the full year, and getting 10 students. So we would initially, the juniors right now, we would try to get seniors right now, so that then next year we could have juniors and and seniors, and they could do it for the full year. And then we'll get another, because it's kind of difficult to do 2 sets unless demand is very high. So, I mean, part of it's going to see what the demand is. And if we have 20 students, we could possibly do 10 and 10, 10 the first semester, 10 the second.
Okay, that sounds great. How will the students be, contacted so they're made aware of this option? Or are all the students going to receive an email? Are they going to reach out to specific students, or how's this going to be disseminated?
We would actually contact all juniors and seniors, and that would be, so for this year, it would have to be seniors, probably seniors, because juniors have usually a packed schedule. It's the seniors who
Yeah.
have room to give in their schedule. So, but we would make the juniors aware of it for next year, because they could choose it as we would choose the juniors this year towards the end of the year for next year, because they'll be
Okay.
scheduling classes. But this year, we thought it would be seniors who have a free period, seniors who might be currently in a TA class, or some of them are in electives that they might rather do this. So they could switch pretty easily at this point.
Yeah, and I know I already kind of brought this up, but with the VCBH clinician, that will be something where he or she will come as needed. So that person might be there 20 hours a week, they might be there 10 hours a week, but that's really just dependent on what the demand is.
Yes, they said for sure the clinician would come at least once, 1 to 3 times a week. In other words, they would have a presence on all the campuses, but how long they stay, how many, that's going to depend on the need at that particular site. Yes. But the
Okay,
kids will get to know that clinician, the mentors, the peers will get to know them. And of course, the wellness coordinator will be working directly. We do have to report data. They'll keep track of
Yeah.
data, keep track of students who visit the center. And obviously we're going to communicate and make sure the students are aware of the center, because that's, so
that's another big one.
resource.
Yeah.
Yes, that's that communication piece is really vital. And VCOE will take the lead and train us on that, train the coordinator on that, and then train the students. And students themselves will help advertise to their peers. Hey, look, here's a great center. Come, if they'll help recognize that students might need some outreach.
Right, that's kind of what my understanding from the information that would be kind of the peer wellness peers job of making the posters and making outreach so that other people knew this is an available service. So
That's exactly right.
I think this is great.
All right. Was that a motion, Amy?
Yes, I'd like to put forth a motion that we accept this. Sorry, I don't know all the terminology here.
All right. We have a motion by Amy Adams to approve this. Do we have
I
a second?
second it.
We have a second by Ute Van Dam. Again, this is right up both of your alleys. So great job. Any further discussion? All right. All those in favor? Aye.
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 Opposed? Okay, motion carries 5-0. Moving on to item 20. It is recommended that the board approve resolution number 2020 to 2021-09, observation of holiday of Lincoln's birthday, which is February 12th. Dr. Hayes.
Yes, California Ed Code requires school districts to pass a resolution to recognize the Lincoln holiday on a date other than the Monday or Friday of the week in which February 12th falls. So we have, usually we've taken that extra day because we have our weekend, and we take that extra day and connect it to our spring break. And so that's what we would recommend continuing to do.
Great. Do we have a motion?
I'll move.
Motion
Second.
by Dr. Tori, second by Nathan Sweet. All those in favor? Aye.
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 Opposed? Okay, motion passes 5-0. Moving on to item 23. District staff continues to review all additional recommendations from CSBA regarding updates and minor changes to the board policies and administrative regulations. The reference staff report summarizes the proposed changes and updates regarding the 4000 series. It is recommended that the board approve the updates and changes referenced in the attached staff report as they apply to the 4000 series of the district's board policies. Dr. Hayes.
Thank you. So these are under the domain of personnel. And again, this reflects our ongoing efforts to continuously update and modify all of our board policies to reflect current California law. And again, if anything is significant that we deem as significant, we would pull that out and have the board consider that board policy separately. So this is, we recommend approval of this series, the latest series of board policies to keep us compliant and reflective of current California Ed Code.
All right. I'll entertain a motion.
I move to approve the CSBA board policy updates.
We have a motion by Ute Van Dam, second.
I second that.
Second by Amy Adams. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Motion carries 5-0. Do we have any pending agenda items? Date and time of the next regular meeting. The next regular meeting of the Board of Education of the Moorpark Unified School District will be Tuesday, February 23rd, 2021 at 5:30 in the District Office Boardroom, 5297 Marine Lane, Moorpark, California. Please note that the meeting date and time are subject to change pending updates from the governor's executive orders and to the Ventura County Public Health stay-at-home order. Wow. We are adjourning at 6:18. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
I move to adjourn.
Motion by Ute Van Dam,
Second.
second by Nathan Sweet. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Good night, Moorpark, and please stay healthy. We'll talk to you soon.
Good night.
Good night.